Hey everyone, my name is Michelle and today I'm going to do my September reading wrap up. In September I had an amazing reading month. I read a total of 8 books. I was just in such a good reading flow. Like after summer I was in a little bit of a reading slump, but now I'm completely back into it. I love reading, I love all the books that I've read. I've basically only read good books. Like a couple of 3-star reads, but overall I was very happy with what I read. And let's just get started, and then I'm going to tell you all about the books that I read in September. The first book that I finished this month was a reread, and it was My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton and Jodie Meadows. This is a retelling of the story of Jane Eyre, and it's a retelling that you're not supposed to take too seriously. This is part of like a series of the Lady Janies, where they take a story about a well-known Jane and they sort of twist it around and make it really funny. And yeah, I had read this book first last year, really loved it. I also really love My Lady Jane, which is like the first book in this Jane series. And I decided to reread My Plain Jane this month. And yeah, what can I say? I really enjoyed my reread. It's still a very good book. It's very funny, very lighthearted. It's just such a joy to listen to, because I listened to the audiobook, by the way. I love all the characters, like Charlotte Bronte herself is a character in this book. And I just love all the references and how they make this story different. There's one particular Harry Potter's joke that like made me giggle again. Like even though I've already read the book, that joke still gets me every time. It's really funny. If you love the story of Jane Eyre and you want to read a book that's not too difficult to get through, that is funny, that is lighthearted, that is just something that really makes you happy when you read it, then I would definitely recommend My Plain Jane. It's one of my favorites, and yeah, I'm sure I will be rereading it again somewhere in the future. Next up, I also continued with the so-called Grant County series by Karen Slaughter, which is a book series that follows Dr. Sarah Linton and Chief of Police Jeffrey Tolliver, who live in Grant County. And yeah, there's always a crime central in each book. And yeah, they often work together to solve it. This month I first of all read book 3 in the series, A Faint Cold Fear. My thoughts on this one is that I actually liked it a little bit less than the first 2 books. I don't know what it is, but I felt like A Faint Cold Fear just lacked that certain something that makes Karen Slaughter books like really good and sort of really, I don't know, extreme, not extreme, but just that certain something that makes it like such an awesome experience to read. It was still a very good book, it was still a very good thriller. Again, I listened to the audiobook with this one, and I think with Karen Slaughter books, I think I prefer to listen to the audiobooks than to read the physical books. Because so far that's just been a better experience, I guess. But with A Faint Cold Fear, like the characters are still amazing, the crime is still very interesting, and as always quite horrible and quite graphic. But I liked it just a little bit less. It was more of a 3-star read than a 4-star read. Yeah, it is good, but not the best of the series. And then I also read the 4th book in this series, which is Inedible, and with this book I basically had the same thoughts as with book 3. Again, this book is kind of different in the series. You have to read it to sort of understand it, but it's a little bit of a different format. I did enjoy that, but I still thought it was just like a little bit less than the first 2 books. I did like that they tried something a little bit different with this one, but I just wasn't as grabbed and invested into the story. Yeah, also like one of the main characters, Jeffrey Tolliver, I don't really like him all that much. This series is like from the 2000s, and sometimes it really shows. Because, you know, main characters from older books are just always a bit more different. And I just don't like Jeffrey Tolliver all that much. And especially in this book, like that really showed some of his qualities that I don't really enjoy to read about. Again, still, it wasn't a bad book. I still enjoyed it. But this was also a 3 out of 5 stars. Next book that I finished in September was The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. This is the 2nd book in the Heroes of Olympus series. Which follows a bunch of demigods, children of like the Greek and Roman gods. And basically this entire world focuses on the fact that Greek and Roman gods are still real and myths are still real and all these mythical creatures. So it's about these demigods who have to fulfill quests and save the world. Yeah, not gonna lie, I had a bit of trouble getting into The Son of Neptune at the beginning, but I think that it's also something more to do with like my personal reading mood than with the actual book. Although I still think the beginning is a bit more slow. Overall, I think this book is quite action-packed and quite interesting. Like with the first half, it took me a while to read it, but then with the second half, I went through it much quicker. I really enjoyed these new characters that we got to meet. And I definitely enjoyed the ending. Like the ending sort of left me craving for more. So I really want to pick up the next book in the series very soon. And what can I say overall over this series? I just really love the concept of like the Greek gods and myths and etc. in our world, but I've said this many times already. The writing is really good with the Heroes of Olympus series. It's definitely more young adult than with the Percy Jackson series, which is middle grade. It's very funny, the characters are all very interesting and quite fleshed out. And also I feel like the first 2 books of the Heroes of Olympus series are more of like a setup, and then with the 3rd book I think like the story is really going to sort of start, and like, yeah, it's hard to explain, but whatever. I did really enjoy The Son of Neptune. It's just a series that I like very much, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next book I'm going to talk about is Heroes by Stephen Fry. So this is a sort of retelling, or not really a retelling, but this is Stephen Fry telling you all the myths about Greek heroes, their stories, and like the myths surrounding it. And yeah, a couple of months ago I listened to Mythos, which was his first book, which was more about like the Greek gods and such, and then Heroes is specifically about the heroes and their stories, you know, like Heracles and such. I listened to the audiobook because Stephen Fry narrates it himself, which is amazing because Stephen Fry is such a wonderful narrator. I love his voice. It's so relaxing and so soothing to listen to. Heroes was very interesting and I really enjoyed the stories, even though I've already knew them quite a bit because I had Latin and Greek in high school, so we also got those stories. But it's so nice to listen to them, and also some stories are overall the same but told with like some differences, because of course myths have differences in them. Which way you tell them, sometimes it's a bit more this, it's a bit more that, like hopefully you know what I mean. If you're interested in Greek mythology and the stories of heroes, definitely read this one. It's so interesting, it's so nice to listen to, and probably also to read in like the physical copy. And I gave Heroes also 4 out of 5 stars. The next 3 books I can probably talk about together because they're part of the same series, and yeah, I'll let you take a lucky guess which series I'm talking about. But it is of course the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I've read Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban. All an audiobook, the Stephen Fry audiobooks again. His narration is very good. Even though I've only just finished my last reread of Harry Potter, I really wanted to listen to the audiobooks again because yeah, it's my all-time favorite series. I love listening to them. I don't think I have to say much about what I think of these books because I have like an entire Harry Potter ranking. I have full reviews for each of these 3 books. I will leave all the links down below in the description box. I talk about them with more spoilers and such. Yeah, if you want to watch those, then you can like see all my thoughts about them. But for now, it's just safe to say that these 3 are all 5 out of 5 stars because of course it's Harry Potter. I feel like I've said this so many times in so many videos, but I love Harry Potter. I will always love it. It's so good. My favorite series ever. And I'm planning to continue with my reread in October. And then for the final book that I finished in September, it is Waking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel. This is the 2nd book in the Themis Files series, like the Sleeping Giant series. This is a sci-fi book series about Dr. Rose Franklin. When she's 11, she falls into this sort of mysterious huge hand that seems to be part of a sort of like robot, and then when she's an adult she gets involved into a project surrounding this sort of thing. That's all I can say about it, and the entire book series is told in the form of files, hence the series title The Themis Files. It's mostly interviews but also personal log entries, sometimes like TV or radio broadcasting or like something like that. It's really interesting and yeah, really entertaining. I loved the first book, Sleeping Giants, very much, but I loved Waking Gods even more. This book is so amazing. I had such a good time reading it. Yeah, this book is intense. Oh my god, like that's I think the only word to describe it. So much was happening at all times. At the beginning it was a bit more slow and then I sort of had to get into it, but then like the ending I flew through it because this book is action-packed and it's interesting and all the characters are amazing and you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. I feel like Waking Gods definitely takes it a level up, like from Sleeping Giants. It's just, yeah, that's all I can say about it, I guess. It's really, really good. If you love the first book, you will absolutely adore the second one. This is a sci-fi series that is very suiting for people who normally don't really read a lot of sci-fi, because I don't necessarily read a lot of sci-fi. But it's so easy to get into, you know, very approachable. You can get through these books very quickly because of the like file format. I loved the second book so much. I've already started the third one, which I hope to finish in October. Yeah, it's really good, and I gave Waking Gods 5 out of 5 stars. So that was it for my September reading wrap up. A really good reading month, and I'm so excited for October and all the books I'm going to read like then. If you want to see my TBR for like the entire fall season, again, link down below in the description box. I've done a separate video for that. But for now, this was it for this video. And if you liked this video, please go subscribe or maybe give it a thumbs up, because as always, I would really appreciate that. And hopefully I will see you again very soon in my next video. Bye!